Hello, welcome to the Big Scuba Show.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathleen.
And I'm Melanie. We're the co-founders of the ocean travel company called Dive the Americas. We're based here in the Americas.
Yeah, and we're here with Gemma and Ian on the Big Scuba podcast to talk about all things ocean travel in Latin America. Hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Big Scuba podcast. This is episode 169. This episode is sponsored by narked90.com, specialists in all things diving, dive computers, tech, recreational, commercial, military and saturation diving. They are large enough to cope, small enough to care. 5-star service reviews on Google. So go there, get to narked90.com.
We should say Happy New Year to everybody.
We should say Happy New Year to everyone. So welcome back. This is our first episode
of 2024.
And if you listen to us in June, well, I hope you're enjoying the sunshine and it's all lovely and warm wherever you are.
Yes,
but
so yes. We hope everybody had a good Christmas.
Yes.
And we're back.
God, it seems a long time ago now, Christmas and all that.
It does, yeah. So.
Anyway, coming up, we've got another episode where we've got a guest for you. Two ladies all the way from America. Their names are
Kathleen and Melanie, and they front a company called Dive the Americas.
Yes, and they've got a great offer at the end of our discussion. So that means you've got to
keep listening.
Don't fast forward. Listen right to the end and listen out for that offer they've got for all you listeners out there. So do stick round. Right, what have we been up to?
Well, our last episode was Chris Taylor, and then we had Christmas. So we actually did a first for Christmas Day or Christmas Day morning, and did a paddleboard,
which was really nice. Wasn't it?
It was really, and then we did the rest of the day
had the
with
lake
our families.
To ourselves. Actually, there was no one else there.
Not a bean. No,
and the weather weren't too bad. Which was quite nice.
So we got on our sea lion paddle boards and had a great paddle.
And then had bacon sandwiches cooked on the back of the truck.
Yeah,
which was all really nice. So that was really good, and it was nice to get out on the water, wasn't it?
Yeah, weather was good. So we saw the wildlife, and it's a good way to spend a Christmas Day morning.
Yeah, and so I've got my Raptor, and I love it, and it's great. I've got to say also, while I'm just on that, I've got to say big thank you to the guys over at John Gross in Lowestoft who sorted everything out for me, and you know, it unfortunately the truck didn't come with rear mats, so they knew and they sorted them out for me. How good is that?
Well, that's good service, and we like talking to people that have service at their forefront.
Yeah. So got to say thanks to them. Right. What we've been doing? We've been diving as well.
Yeah, between the Christmas and New Year break. Yeah, it's a tradition for our local dive centre to get people out to Stony Cove, and we saw.
I sent my dry suit to O3. I should get it back hopefully in the next couple of weeks, all being well. So I've got to say big thank you to Polly at Crystal Seas for lending me a dry suit, which was quite nice. It's a bit cold for the old wetsuit at the minute.
Yeah, I think temperature was 8.
Nippy.
It was 8 degrees.
Yeah, I didn't really fancy that in the wetsuit.
Yeah,
really, a bit nippy for that. We had a dive, didn't we? And that was all really good. And then joined up with Mr. Rivet.
Yes, Matt
one
Rivet.
of our previous guests, who I'm sure you've heard us talk about Matt before several times.
And he was on his rebreather.
He was, and we did a dive. That was really nice. Sort of a bit of a bimble, and we saw the Belinda and APC, and then we come round the back of the Steingarth, and the visibility was so clear at the minute. It was really nice.
Definitely a good time to dive.
It was, yeah, really enjoyed that, and it's always nice Christmas time because you see a lot of people come up and they'll jump in who probably not as regular as they would like, for all sorts of reasons, and it's nice time to catch up with people, and people who haven't seen for a while, which is really nice.
People we're friends with on Facebook, and we actually got to meet them in the flesh.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, which is always really cool. So it's nice atmosphere.
It was,
and,
and it was a nice day, and the weather wasn't too bad at all, was it?
No, it weren't. It weren't too bad.
Actually, no, it did rain a lot. I think when you were...
Did it?
Yes, it was quite monsoon-like at one point.
Oh, only right at the end.
But we had our,
Only right at the end.
we had our gear on, dry robes, and it wasn't cold.
Yeah. If you've been diving, let us know where you've been diving, either in the UK or abroad. Let us know what you've seen, what you've been doing. That'd be really cool. If you've qualified in something, you're newly qualified, let us know.
Yeah.
That'd be really
Tell
really
us your
good to
story.
hear. We should also say at this point as well, a little hello to Glenn, our Patreon as well, who very kindly gives a little bit to help
contribution,
make these
which
things
is
happen.
good. Yeah, so his handle on Instagram is Dipsy Diver, if you want to follow him.
Yeah.
But we'll just say hello to Glenn and thank you very much. And if you are interested in subscribing to Patreon, do have a look at the link in the show notes, the Patreon page, and you can see our levels of membership.
Yeah. And, New Year, what do? We all go on diets and work on our dive fitness. I've got my dive and it all seems coming around really quick. So I've got my dive medical end of March. It's all booked in. Lost 5 pounds last week.
I know, I'm very proud.
So I'm quite chuffed.
Yeah, and with dive fitness in mind, that's in the forefront. So we're both back to the gym, aren't we? And running.
I see Tash is busy running as well.
People have got their New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, if you're out there, do you have a think about getting equipment serviced as well while the weather's a bit chilly?
Yeah.
Get your regs serviced, BCD possibly. Check everything over so you're ready to jump in the water.
You always got to make sure you're checking your equipment
Every
regularly.
day.
Yeah. You always got to make sure it works okay, all right?
Yes, everything's got to be in working order.
It is, yes. Anyway, let's move on. So this week we went up to see our lovely sponsors. As you know, Not at 90, they sponsor us and they're awesome. Got a great reputation in the diving world, headed up by John Routley and Brent Hudson, and... great team as well, and it's always a bit of a laugh, and
we hear lots of stories,
and go over, and it's always a bit of a learned time with them because they got so much information and have done so much in the diving world, and you it's a time where they offload and you soak all this up, don't you? And they've got great products, and people do know them for their great service.
And that's the one thing that comes across with so many people. Their service and attention to customer service can't be beaten.
And so we're going to be diving on Monday. We're back up at Stony, and we're taking up with us some brand new SMBs that they've got.
So when we walked,
I've got to say the quality
it's really good.
It's really well made.
They were in the room when we walked into Narked at 90 and we thought, oh, what are they? And they were 4 colours.
4 colours, yeah.
Yellow with black writing,
red
with black writing, orange with black writing, and then
a controversial colour.
Black with white writing. So we've got all 4 colours. And
you did hear that right. We've got a black SMB to test.
Yeah, and we were going to test it to see what the visibility is like underwater as well as above. Well, more importantly, above water.
Well, that's the main thing.
Yeah. So, and then also they had a couple of other new products. These scissors that can attach to your BCD. So they're for line cutting.
So you do see a lot of divers in the UK, in inland waters, and we had some guests talk about this, haven't we? And you see some divers with some huge, great big knives.
Well, they look like they're going to go and
and it's like
wrestle with a.
There's no monsters in here that you're going to need to wrestle with. All right, you might look at the odd person and you think, oh, I don't know, but
we've seen people with like daggers,
great big daggers and stuff, and anyway. But if you ever tried cutting a line,
with a knife,
and you see something or maybe you see some stray line and you need to cut some, try doing that in underwater with a knife. It's tricky.
Yeah.
With a pair of scissors, easy, really easy. And these scissors are stainless steel.
And they're engraved with Narc 90 as well.
Yeah.
So they're really, really lovely. They come in a Velcro packet that can clip onto.
And I dare say, I haven't asked them this, but you could ask them. I'm sure they would sort something. If you said to them, "Hey, I'm buying a pair of scissors for my partner, dive buddy, whatever. I would like to have engraved on there their name." How cool would that be?
Yeah, and that's another service that Narc 90 do. They've got these amazing laser cutter machines and laser engraving, and they do colours. So it's just something that adds a little bit of uniqueness to your dive equipment.
So there's some social media coming out next week where we'll be getting those wet up at Stoney. So as long as it's not snowing hard, because we are expecting some snow, aren't we? So, but all being well, we should be there Monday.
We have got another great thing about Narc 90. They are giving out a special code for the next few weeks, and that's Big Scuba 2024. So if you are going to go to their website and put an order in, use that code for a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, and of course they have got stock of the new Shearwater turn as well.
Yes.
So if you've seen that and you think, hey, I want to get my hands on one of them smart new computers, go to Narc and have a chat with them, because they've got them in stock.
And if in particular, if you're a new diver and you haven't got quite to the point of getting your dive computer, the Shearwater turn would be a perfect entry level dive computer that will grow with you as you're
And I think
diving.
as well, I think if you're going on, let's say if you've got a liveaboard book next year, they make a nice alternative rather than taking a big square type dive computer with you, because you want to try and cut the weight down. Well, you could get one of them and use that as your dive computer rather than having a big square one. With you. Yeah. So it would make a good alternative.
Yeah, and then they've got the integration, the turn, there's 2 grades, and then the higher grade one has got a compass on as well. And, so
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I was going to say as well, we are going to be updating our website over the course of the coming sort of weeks, and we wanted to just ask our lovely listeners, if you wouldn't mind, to subscribe to our website, because we're going to be trialling some email marketing, aren't we?
Yeah. So if you subscribe,
just let you know what's coming up. Really,
if you subscribe
to
like a newsletter, and we'll be sending out something a little bit more regularly about the Big Scuba and things that we're up to, or offers that we've got as well. So if you want to be the first to hear about those type of things, subscribe to our website.
Yeah, so that'd be really good. So go there and hopefully save yourself some cash.
Yes, because we've got a few offers on.
Coming up, we are going to be at Deep, aren't we?
Yes, that's coming up at the end of the month.
Soon. You might have noticed as well, a big celebration that Apex, a big British company who do some fantastic products as well. Mm-hmm. You dive on Apex, I dive on Apex.
Regulators,
Most of us, a lot of us in the UK will dive on Apex because they are specialised for UK cold temperatures.
And they'd be pretty bulletproof, aren't they?
Their products that they make are so well made. Big celebration to them. And the 50th anniversary for Apex.
50 years in the diving industry.
Obviously owned by Aqualung these days, but, based here. So that's really cool. Coming up, if you haven't already, or if you don't already know, so right at this moment in early Jan, the Paris Dive Show is on.
Yes, that's a new one. We just came across that. So there are lots of exhibitors there. I think Ocean Reef are there. Patrick Widman, a previous guest, he's there as well. So lots going on. So
he gets around, doesn't he? He's always on these shows. Boo in Dusseldorf, which Boo, if you haven't heard of Boo before, that's a boat show, but they also have a diving part.
It's a massive show, isn't it?
And it's one of the biggest out there. and that's going on between the 20th and 28th of January. So look out for that. And then next month you've got the RYA Dinghy and Water Sports Show, late February at Farnborough.
Yeah, that's a good one to visit.
We might go to that.
Yes,
because,
we like being on the water as well as under it.
Yeah, a lot of divers do, you know. So and also, you know, they'll cover, I suppose, ribs and things like that. You know, a lot of us dive off a rib. And then in March, the first weekend in March, we've got the UK dive show, Go Diving.
Yeah, so, looking forward to that.
Yeah, which should be pretty good. We're planning on being there the Saturday and Sunday.
Both days. And it will be a bigger show again than it was last year, which is really, really good to hear, to show that, That's
a bit of a favourite. You know, we've been there a few times now, and it's always nice to catch up with people who don't normally would get a chance to speak to. Yeah. So, you know, looking forward to that. We mentioned we're going to be diving, hopefully, weather permitting, on Monday. And then that's kind of us, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's all us up to date for the moment. And just keep an eye out on our social media channels. Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn are the key ones. And just keep up to date with what we're doing and what's coming up. And
we love getting getting the messages and feedback and emails, which is always really cool, hearing what you're all up to. So, carry on.
Yes, if there's anything that you want, any questions you've got for us, or any questions you want to ask out there in the diving community, pop them our way and we'll see what we can get answered.
If you've got anything with about deep, because part of us will be looking around the old NDAC site, which is a big, a lot of UK divers love diving there.
Yeah, NDAC at Chepstow.
And do miss diving there. So if you've got any questions about that, do let us have that before. About 2 weeks,
before say the 27th of January.
Yeah. So and we're going to be catching up with Phil Short, one of our previous guests.
Yes,
Final Magic.
Bit of a tour.
And we'll be doing that. So let's have your questions, and let us know if you missed the place. If you missed dive, what did you miss about diving at NDAC?
Yes, it's something we want to encourage for 2024. Hear more from our listeners, and we'll feature you on the podcast.
Certainly will. Right. Well, that's it. We better get these two girls on from
Kathleen and Melanie from Dive the Americas. They're going to tell us all about how they got into diving, and then about their company and how they operate in the Americas.
Which is a quality tour of Latin America.
It's more bespoke service they offer. So they're into good quality holiday experience and working with dive boats providers that they're all checked out.
It's all sort of high end as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're well looked after and well catered for.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about going to South America, Costa Rica, anywhere like that where the wildlife sounds amazing, and
don't forget to listen to the end, because there's a big offer.
They've got a bit of a surprise for you. Yeah. So, and check out the show notes.
Right, let's do it. Enjoy. We'll speak to you next time.
This is episode 169, Dive the Americas. So you're all the way in Costa Rica, and you don't both originate from there. What's your history? How did each of you start?
I'll start. So I'm Melanie. Yeah, I'm actually from Costa Rica. I was born and raised here, so this is like home for me. My dad is from Florida. He moved to Costa Rica when he was 19, and he's been here ever since. So Costa Rica and the U.S. has kind of been my home my whole life. And I knew I wanted to be in tourism from day one. I studied tourism in college. And I actually went to school in the U.S. and then I came back to Costa Rica to start my career here. I've been working in tourism ever since. I started in hotel management, and then I moved to travel planning, and then I fell in love with scuba, and we started a business. So that's kind of how I got to where I am.
Wow. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Okay. No, I was not born here. I was born in the US. I ended up in Costa Rica a little more than 8 years ago. I was finishing up my biology degree with my university. I was doing like an extra year from what we normally do, and all my friends had graduated. So I was like, I'll just go on like a fun study abroad to Costa Rica. That sounds cool. Like I can learn Spanish, and like biology is thriving. It's very different here than it is in the States. So I came here, finished my degree, and just said I would stay an extra year, teach biology at a school at the beach. And 8 years passed and I have made it home. I started working in tourism about 6 years ago, in sales. That was never what I had imagined. Like growing up, I always thought I would like go to medical school, or, like I always knew I loved science, but never thought about sales, never thought about tourism, especially in a foreign country. So then we started at the same travel agency. That's how we met. And fell in love with Costa Rica, fell in love with everything. And then during the pandemic, we got scuba certified and fell in love with that. And here we are 3 years, almost 4 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. It sounds like you had a really good start with the business and that as well then.
Yeah. So we started Dive the Americas. The idea was born maybe 3 years ago, a little bit less than 3 years ago. So we are fairly new divers. We got certified during the pandemic because there was like a deal to get certified. The whole country was closed, and like they had this, we're like, what better way to distance than like underwater? Melanie did it first, actually, and then she convinced me to do it. And thank God, because it changed our lives.
It really did.
Yeah. So that's long story short.
So what level of divers, what have you got? Have you got your open water or advanced?
Yeah, we're advanced divers.
We're both advanced. Yeah, we're trying to make it a priority to get our certifications, because we just keep diving and not doing our certifications.
Yeah.
But, because we are in travel, like we just, what brought together like Dive the Americas is that we kept traveling for diving. Like as soon as we fell in love with it, we were like, Latin America is our thing. We know it. Let's go travel and dive. And we had a hard time finding somebody that knew the travel aspect and the diving aspect. Like we could find somebody that could either help us with the travel portion or help us with the diving. But there was nobody that was really, in our opinion, doing both and doing it well. So that's where we had the idea to come up with Dive the Americas, and we started traveling for diving, and we ran into so many situations, good and bad. And we've been doing that ever since. But yeah, we definitely have a priority to get more certifications. It's just been so hard when we're like working so much and traveling so much for recreational diving.
Yeah. Starting a business is like, I mean, it's like a child, and I always like say, it's right now, it's like a toddler, and you never know what you're going to get. So we spend a lot of time behind the computer, not as much time underwater as we'd like to. But my personal goal for 2024 is to become a dive master. That's my goal for next year. And I live here in Costa Rica. I live about an hour and a half from the closest beach. I live in San Jose, in the capital city, which is a lot closer than Melanie is living in Mexico City right now, which is way far from any ocean. So it's a bit easier for me to say that that's my goal next year. But we have to see how everything goes with the business.
Yeah. So you're diving, is it mostly, do you do any inland diving, or is it all ocean diving?
We do mostly ocean diving, but of course, being in Mexico, like the cenotes are there. We have so much incredible diving all around. So I've really spent a lot of time just getting to know inland Mexico as well as the coasts. This past year, I mean, I have traveled to all over. So it's just been really fun to get to know different kinds of diving. And I mean,
so you've done some cave diving?
I'm not cave dive certified, but we can do the cenotes. So it's something we're interested in doing more of.
Mostly warm ocean diving.
I'm very different from what you guys have up there.
I don't know what these countries are like. So what's Costa Rica like for diving?
So Costa Rica is not generally known as like a dive destination, which is interesting. Right. You know, when you're talking to people who want to come on like a holiday over here,
yeah,
and in Latin America, it's never like Costa Rica. It's like Mexico or like Galapagos, or Belize. Yeah, Belize. But you know, living here, we have the luxury of being able to dive here, and it's the visibility isn't like, it could be amazing on one day and not so amazing on the next.
right.
But on the Pacific side, there's just so much life. And so I think that's really spoiled me a bit, because I go diving in places like Cozumel in Mexico, which is Caribbean diving, and it's beautiful and the visibility is incredible. But there's not as much wildlife, and I'm so used to seeing so many different species, and just so much of them, you know, like huge schools of fish, huge, like so many different kinds of sharks. So I think that sets Costa Rica apart a little bit. Versus a lot of the Caribbean diving that is known in Central America, at least.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been diving on this side of the world?
I've done
No.
I've done just sort of off Cancun. I did couple of dives off a boat there. As I hadn't been diving all that long. That was a few years ago, and didn't really go to plan. And it's very much grab your weights, grab your fins and mask and jump in. And I was kind of waiting for everybody to do like the buddy check and all that sort of stuff. And they'd all gone, they'd all cleared off and disappeared. And it was like, me and my buddy were like looking at each other going, I think we've got to jump in. And, I didn't do many dives at all, and like got all the weight wrong and everything, but did manage to get under. And we had a good time, you know, it was good. But yeah, it was really weird because like so used to you know, a formal way of diving, because I've been through courses and with the school, and to then go on this boat and it's like, no, you just grab your stuff and you jump in. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we do, because I'm gonna say it, we're travel snobs. Like we have been in travel for so long that like we like to have a nice bow and we like to like know
who doesn't.
Yeah, totally.
So for us, it was a surprise when we started diving, and we got into these situations where it was exactly that. It was just like, oh, jump in, here you go. We're relatively new at the time, so it was like a little scary, you know. You want a little bit more structure. So we do, like, one of the things we do is pre-vet all of our operators, so we know exactly what that experience is going to be like, and we can say like, okay, in this one you can go, but it's going to be a little more, you know, free form, whereas in this one you're going to go and they're going to be a little more structured, and they're going to have a nice tea for you when you get out and things like that. So we can just set the expectations a little bit better when I think it's
and who do you work with? So it's got an interesting point. So when you've got paying tourists who are going to come and go to these sites, who do you work with to make sure that operators and, you know, are following basic health and safety things? And you know, do you work with any agencies on that?
So we, for a lot of the providers that we work with across all of Latin America, we travel to each spot. So, you know, we've spent a lot of time in the Riviera Maya in Mexico, to make sure we don't work with providers that just kind of shove you in the water and are like, good luck. And if we're not able to go for some reason, we have like a questionnaire that asks a couple, like, well, a lot of certain things, like especially the insurance thing, because it's Central and South America is a little crazy sometimes, where people are just like, we don't need an insurance. And we're like, well, okay, we can't work with you if you don't have an insurance. And just things like that we look for if we're not able to go and like meet with the dive shops ourselves. And so one of our, like a lot of our goals, you know, include going to certain countries and meeting with the providers. Like we'll always like go on Facebook groups and ask like, hey, like what dive shops do you guys work with in these, like, what dive shops have you traveled with and do you love and why? And we ask a lot of questions and like make a list. And then we like go through the list and we, you know, send out an email to all those providers, and whomever like fits all the criteria that we're looking for. We're like, okay, when we go there, we're going to make sure to meet with these people, hopefully do a dive with them, because there's nothing like experiencing it. You know, it's one thing for them to tell us how it is, but it's another for us to experience it and then relay all that information to the, you know, our clients and people that trust us to know those things, you know, what we were looking for as new divers. And so it's, if we don't know, if we've never been there, it's a lot of emails and calls and like really trying to like understand what they do as the providers.
Have you heard of the Reef World Foundation or Greenfins?
Greenfins, yes. Reef World I've heard of, but I'm not super familiar with them.
So they've been around I think probably now 20 odd years, and you'd need to check where they cover, but they've spent a lot of time, in all their time basically helping tourist guides, people in the industry with checklists, health and safety stuff, making sure they all come up to certain standards, making sure people get paid, make sure they all got insurance. And I was wondering that you might find them useful to speak to.
And they have marine conservation, you know, very close to their heart, because it is about making sure the tourism doesn't damage the structure of the wildlife and the ecosystem. So they'd probably be worth giving a look.
Because you're looking at your website, and you go to some great places, and some of the trips, you know, they sound fantastic and all high end, where, you know, tourists, you know, it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, we do a lot. I mean, we work with, in terms of hotels, we have over 3,000 partners on this side of the world. So really, like, we love to do Zoom calls with our clients. Like, hey, what is your style of travel? Do you like luxury, or do you just want somewhere clean and comfortable to sleep? And then we can kind of set you up in that way. Like, how many dives do you want to do? We get a lot of people that come on these longer trips, and they'll do, for example, in Mexico, they'll do 3 or 4 nights in Mexico City, and then they'll go on their dive trip. And we help with that. Like, I live in Mexico City, so I'm like, oh man, you have to try these tacos. Like, you know, so I'm able to provide a little bit more than just the diving. But it is really important to us that people learn about this part of the world, because I think there is a misconception that Costa Rica doesn't have good diving, or the Pacific is this or that. And so us being there and being able to say, like, the diving here is really spectacular, you should come, is really important to us. I think also new divers, a lot of people that are nervous to dive, I love talking to them and telling them, you know, I was nervous to dive. I was scared when I tried it the first time. And then that first breath underwater changed my life, you know, like it was, and my first dive was here in Costa Rica. I remember just going underwater, and there was a huge school of fish, probably 300, you know, fish on the left side, and then a sea turtle just on my right side, like in slow motion. That was my very first dive. So I agree with what Kathleen said. Like, I feel a little bit spoiled having dove here so many times, because we just have so much quantity of life. But I mean,
and I think luxury is like a relative term. And, you know, we worked in luxury for a luxury travel agency before we started Dive the Americas. And I think we really learned that like luxury means something different to everybody. And like for us, it's just like being comfortable and like having like a nice place to sleep after like a really long day of diving, but also like understanding that luxury for you might be different than what it means for us. And so that's why it is, you know, important to like understand who we're talking to and like what they want. And if like 1 million dives is like the most important, okay, like let's put all the budget towards the dives. But if you want like somewhere like nice and like a bougie robe or slippers or something, I don't know, then like that works too. Like it's whatever you want and what makes you happy. And as long as like with providers that you know are putting sustainability first and those things, then like we're happy if they're happy.
Yeah. I'd say it's more a bespoke kind of service that you're offering. So rather than have a brochure and you just, oh, I want to go on that, it's so for people listening, it's very much they can shape their own holiday and vacation.
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So how would it work then? So say I come along and I find your website and I make contact and say I'm looking to dive, don't know any of the countries, but I've heard about, let's say, Mexico or Belize or Panama. I want to go diving for some of it. How would it then work when you receive that email?
Yeah, so ideally we'll get on a call with them because it's like so much easier to understand somebody on the phone versus an email.
Yeah.
And then like, we have certain questions that we know to ask. And, if we get on a call, have that conversation. And then what
sort of questions would you ask?
How long do you want to travel here for?
Right.
Like what do you envision the trip to look like overall? I always like to ask why Mexico? Like what draws you to Mexico? Because everybody has different answers, and I really enjoy hearing what people's answers are.
Yeah.
How many people, what's your budget? Do you need help with flights? Like those kinds of things, like try to be as helpful as possible, and try to get as much information as we can. So then I can take all of that and put the custom itinerary together. So then it's like, you come over here, you land and then everything is taken care of for you.
But do you book the flights? Do you sort the flights out as well?
Flights are a little complicated, so we try to steer clear of the flights.
Yeah, we don't book the flights,
Yeah.
but we'll send you like, hey, this is what we recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in addition to what you said, I just want to add, like, usually dates is a big tell as well.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
dates.
when can you travel?
Mm.
That's going to guide us to say, like, okay, if you're traveling during this season, Mexico is a better option, or during this season, maybe Panama has a really special migration. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
able to say those things and kind of guide you in the right direction. If you like more of an off the beaten path and you're more adventurous, then yeah, maybe like a Panama or like an Ecuador would be a great fit for you. But if you just want to like relax and not think about anything and lay on a beach, like Mexico is probably a better option.
Yeah.
But yeah, dates I think is huge.
Yeah.
So what about like security? Because in the UK, I'm sure there's lots of great things about these countries, but in the UK, we only kind of hear like Mexico and Colombia. There's these. There's a security risk for people, and Panama, and so how about security for people who don't totally new to these countries, have never been there before? That's
such a common question, especially for me. I tell people I live in Mexico City and everyone's like, are you okay? It has this reputation. But really, like, I have found, as long as you're using your common sense, like you would in any other city, don't leave your wallet laying out. You're going to be fine. Like, we recommend places that are safe. Again, places that we have gone to. I travel personally, like solo travel around Latin America often. We were just in Cartagena and Colombia. And it is very safe here. I'm willing to take that step and say, it is a great place to travel. I think you just have to use like common sense. And especially if you're traveling with an agency that can give you reputable places to stay, we're going to connect you with drivers, for example, or you can rent a car, but we're going to connect you with people that are going to be able to help you and guide you in the right direction. We provide a pre-arrival list for all of our destinations. So that has restaurant recommendations. It has safety tips in there. It has a packing list. So you're kind of prepared for what you're getting into. And we also have an in-country group for every country. So you're constantly like in a chat with us. So if you're in country and you're like, oh, I can't find my driver, just send us a quick message and we'll find them, within the next.
Yeah, that's really, really good for anybody if it's their first adventure into South America, to have that confidence that they've got somebody on call, because there are bigger travel agencies and you hear horror stories, they can't get hold of anybody, they're stranded, but having that personal, and it does sound a very personal, bespoke service that you provide.
Well, I think this is the thing. When I went on my liveaboard, never done a liveaboard before. And one of the reasons I wanted to do the liveaboard to the Red Sea is the diving. But I knew it was going to be a totally different type of holiday that I've ever done before. And the good thing about it, what appealed, which I would imagine would also appeal to likewise travelers, I could literally turn up with my case and my passport and ticket from the moment I stepped into the airport in London. I knew where I was going, and I knew at the other side, I knew I was getting picked up, and the whole time I knew where I was going all the way through. And I think that's the big thing. I think when people are traveling, especially to countries where they've never been, and they're going out of their comfort zone to where they're used to, it's good that you put that personal touch to it.
Yeah. And we literally put our phone numbers in that chat. So we are on top of all of our clients. My husband always makes fun of me because I'm always chatting with my clients, and I'm like, look at this, Bob is doing zip lining today. Look. And he's like, okay, I've seen plenty of zip line photos. So it's a lot of fun. And I think it really fosters a great connection with our clients. I mean, for us, we have made so many good friends out of this, just from our clients coming. And if we can go meet them, we will, we'll have dinner with you. If you don't want to talk to us, we won't talk to you. Don't worry. But it's just been really nice to have that personal connection. And I think that's something that we can offer that maybe the bigger agencies don't provide as much of. Really hanging.
Especially being two women living in Latin America, I would not say that I don't feel safe if I didn't feel safe. And I wouldn't feel like I should send people places, especially moms with their daughters, these kind of people that want to go travel. I wouldn't send anybody anywhere that I wouldn't send my own family. And especially somewhere like Colombia, for example, which has notoriously been in past 20, 30 years, not really the place to go. But in the last 5 years has really just been growing so much tourism wise. And we just went there last week for Melanie's bachelorette party. It wasn't really a business trip, but we make all those kind of trips, business trips anyway. And I was just shocked by how hospitable the people were there. I felt really safe, but you're always practicing, don't walk around on the beach at night by yourself. I don't do that home for me in the US. I don't do Costa Rica. I don't do it anywhere.
Well, people have to take a certain amount of personal responsibility, don't they, for their own well-being. And you're right what you say. So where do the majority of, would you say, your travelers come from? Is there certain countries or country where predominantly your business comes from?
I would say a lot of it comes from maybe 75% from the US and Canada. And then I would say the rest from Europe. We've had quite a lot of European clients, actually.
And those are always interesting because it's a whole different dynamic, right? You're coming from so far. Usually they're a longer trip. I don't know, usually the tastes are a little different than our American clients. So we're able to kind of cater to that as well.
Right.
But mostly...
a big destination I think is Costa Rica, because Costa Rica has so many authentic boutique, more off the beaten path hotels and destinations. And I think that caters much more to the European, UK, Europe,
Brits.
Today's episode is sponsored by Narked at 90, so let's find out a bit more about them. Narked at 90, their tagline has been beyond technical, which describes them pretty well. John Routley and Brent Hudson launched the company over 20 years ago. They are both technical divers who have logged thousands of mixed gas dives between them over a 30-year period. Using their engineering know-how and diving expertise, have developed bespoke, personal, commercial and military diving equipment and products of a universally recognised, unparalleled calibre.
Their ability to be adaptive and versatile with their developments led them to support the NHS during COVID. Using their superior knowledge of breathing and oxygen monitoring systems to help develop emergency ventilators. They also design and supply the sneaky stuff used by defence-based development groups throughout the Western world, although they can't tell us much about that. If you're thinking of moving across to tech diving or completely new to diving, Narked at 90 can advise and guide on the best equipment and setup for your personal or commercial requirements. Narked at 90 have unparalleled experience of shearwater dive computers and are the longest serving and sole and UK European service centre for those. They are happy to offer technical support, servicing, repairs and upgrades to all shearwater computers, past and present. Narked at 90 stock shearwater computers but are also stockers and technical support centre for many other manufacturers including Divesoft, JJCCR, Hollis, Revo and Kiss Rebreathers.
Based centrally in the UK, Narked at 90 also offer full rebreather head servicing for selected manufacturers.
Bespoke cable assemblies.
Advice on specific fitting requirements.
Suggestions and guidance for home builds.
Computer laser cutting and engraving.
Pressure testing to simulate 400-metre dives.
So, Narked at 90, a reputation built on supporting both manufacturers and divers worldwide.
Go to narkedat90.com and make sure you are following their social media to keep up to date with their latest news and offers.
Narked at 90, large enough to cope, small enough to care.
Many Brits come over, yeah?
We actually have
Do they
some
behave?
Brits here in country right now that we're going to get beers with them on Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice one.
They're the ones that want coffee. They always want the beers.
You can tell
Yeah,
the
that's
English,
right.
can't you?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about right.
Yeah, and
Like, yeah.
in terms of like your age groups, is it sort of predominantly sort of younger age group that you find are using your services, or is it quite a far-reaching?
I was gonna say,
Word.
it surprised me because when we started, I definitely was like, we're gonna get like young women, and we have so many families. We have
Mhm.
older, like I call them salty dogs, that have 100 million dives under them, that are reaching out asking questions. So we really get people all over the board in terms of age groups and like dive ability. Like to me, that was the most surprising. We've met some people that are little like young girls, I don't know, and then they end up emailing us 100 times and booking trips with us. So yeah, it's all over the board.
I love when like new divers come to us, you know, that they feel comfortable enough and like included and like not scared to ask questions and those kinds of. But really, I would say we're all over the board.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So
and there's a lot to learn too from people. You know, we're travel experts, and we're diving. We're getting to be diving experts for sure. But we're newer in the dive world, and we don't lie about that. You know, and so there's stuff people can learn from us, and we're learning constantly. And I think that's the most fun part.
With diving, what sort of levels of diving? So obviously, could you come as an open water diver just with like 20 dives? And then and do you cater then for people that have got like technical qualifications?
So for those, like for more technical divers, we have contacts like in the dive industry here on this side. So usually what we'll do is we'll defer to like, okay, here's our expert on cave diving. They're going to kind of guide us on what we need to do for your cave diving. Because like we're not experts on that, but we have the contacts that are, and they're local. And to us, that's really important because there's agents like in the UK, for example, or in other places that have maybe been once or twice, but we prefer more to deal with the people that are locally there and diving that cave every day.
Yes.
So we use those contacts. We've had people contact us that are not even dive certified, that are just interested in getting into diving. And that to me has been the most fun, like you said, just because it's like they're kind of nervous to ask questions, but they feel comfortable enough to say, like, I'm really scared about this, I'm nervous about that. And then we can kind of walk them through and help them get their certification. We've had a lot of people that are like either plus size, or maybe they have a disability or things like that, that maybe need a little extra care because they're like, I don't know if this dive shop is going to be able to cater to my needs. So we're able to kind of set them up and make sure that they're comfortable everywhere that they go. Inclusivity is just a big thing for us in the diving world.
It's good that you are new divers, because I think you've got a responsibility as well, because having, being involved with as a dive master myself, and took people for try dives and that, or refreshers. Some of the feedback I've had from people who've, when you speak to them, so have you been in the water before? Have you tried diving? And you do often hear, not always, but often, people saying, they tried it on holiday and had a bad experience and things like that. And it's so good to hear you two talking as new divers, ensuring that people will have a good experience. And because otherwise people come to the sport, try it, and then have this bad experience, they hurt their ears or things like that. And, the sport then loses people like that. And it's good that you acknowledge having that responsibility yourselves as new divers to say, we're going to make sure that people do come and have a good experience and a safe experience.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I feel responsible for that.
But that is important. And also obviously marine conservation as well, sort of knowing people are going to come and they're going to experience the underwater world and then go away and think, wow, this is another world. And
book again.
And it's even because sometimes people come to us where like the mom is a scuba diver, but the dad and the kids aren't, or something. So the dad or the mom books a day of diving, and we always try to convince the rest of the family to at least do snorkeling. Something that just gets them in the water, to even see what's under the water. There's so much, most of our world is underwater and so many people don't know about it. And knowledge is power. I always say that. And so if you don't know, we're not going to be able to help people to understand why we have to protect it, and why it's so important that we need to be doing things now, or we're not going to have it in 100 years. Not to be all morbid, but
this is it. Especially, if people are seeing amazing schools of fish and sharks, they're just going to, how can you not be affected by that? And
and again, our mission is just to get more people underwater. So we do that through amazing travel experiences. But the more people we can get underwater, the more we can get people to fall in love with the ocean and ultimately help protect it. But it's been really fun to see families and stuff that will go snorkeling and then they'll call us and be like, maybe we do want to do discovery dive. So
that's the best.
Well, this is the thing with snorkeling. We found, some people say, they kind of dismiss it, but snorkeling is like the first gateway in some ways to get under the water and then proceed to diving. And it just takes you new places.
And what about so for people who are abroad and thinking about coming over, so do you recommend any pre-reading or sort of research for them to do before they come over? Is there anything people need to do or would recommend?
It's not anything they specifically need to do, but I mean, we have dive guides on our website for the different countries, for different dive sites.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. Again, if you just want a relaxed holiday, or if you want a really, the most dives ever. If you want a really spectacular epic experience like Galapagos, you're going to want, you know, a little more dives under your belt. You're going to want certain things. So, you know, I would recommend just talking to someone and talking about where you're at in your dive career, what you want out of your holiday, when you're coming, and then they can kind of guide you in that direction.
Good advice that is, actually, because you know, for new divers, the Galapagos, you can see it there, but you think, well, actually the diving is going to be quite tricky.
It's challenging.
Yeah. So I would say we went to Galapagos as very new divers. It was a very, I would say we had about 50 dives, which is what they recommend.
Yeah.
But we got really lucky. We were invited on a liveaboard. And so we were like, man, like, let's get more dives under our belt so we can go on this amazing trip to Galapagos. And I mean, it definitely changed me as a diver. Now on the other side, I feel so much more confident after being there.
I bet.
But it was very challenging. Like the first day was very challenging, you know, because I wasn't used to
In what way?
Yeah, the currents and holding in Costa Rica, like, and everywhere else, you don't touch anything.
Yeah.
Like you don't touch.
Yeah.
And there you have to hold on to the rocks or you're blown away.
Are you allowed gloves?
Yeah.
You are allowed gloves there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I would it says minimum 50 dives. I would say minimum like 75, 100.
Really?
Yeah, I think you want to be you'll enjoy it more if you're a little more experienced. But yeah, it's so rewarding though. We saw so much in Galapagos.
Yeah, that was,
I bet.
Highly recommend.
Life changing.
Yeah. There was one day where we saw 8 pregnant
whale sharks.
Wow.
Wow.
It was just incredible.
Amazing.
So yeah, Galapagos, highly recommend. And I don't know if you guys know about, I'm sure you do, Cocos Island off of Costa Rica. Also another incredible experience. Like growing up in Costa Rica, it was always a dream of mine to go there. My dad had been back in the 80s. It's just something that you grow up hearing about here. So being able to go there and see how spectacular all the sharks were, highly recommend for anybody that wants like an epic dive.
Yeah.
We had the guys on from the Galapagos whale shark. They were on really
quite early on, weren't they?
Really early on, weren't they?
Yeah.
And because they don't know where they give birth, do they? That's the one part they don't know.
That's crazy.
Which is amazing that they don't know.
And they put trackers on them as well, and they disappear and then they come back. Yeah.
And so what a lot of our dive masters, our guides told us, like, take pictures of them from above, because you know they can identify them by all the spots. And so like we sent all of our pictures to them, and so many of the ones that were there are ones that they had seen before.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy that we don't know where they give birth with so much technology that we have. It's still so unknown.
And we always send like fun tips like that to our clients, like, hey, after your dives, like send us the pictures and we'll send them to like our contacts and they'll tell you all about the whale sharks.
It's the Galapagos Whale Shark Project, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. You guys. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, it sounds amazing, you know, what you do. And if people wanted to get involved in any conservation work, can you combine that with some of the holidays or trips that you organize?
Absolutely. Yeah, we work with different providers all in Latin America. So if you want more of a sustainability based provider, we have different options for you. Kathleen mentioned the questionnaire. A lot of the questionnaire is actually about sustainability, like what efforts
and conservation.
What efforts does each dive shop have? And what I found fun about that is, like, we've asked these questions to people that have little to no conservation work at their dive shop, and then they'll come back to us and say, like, well, we're not doing anything yet. What can we do? And so we're able to respond and give them, like, okay, here's green fins, here's this, here's that, like, here's some ideas. We found dive shops are really willing to do it. I think here, maybe they're just not as aware of the options. So it's been even helpful on that side for them to make progress towards being more conservation.
That sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds really good.
It does. And it's kind of a win-win, I guess, for
local people because it's bringing tourism in, and obviously they're benefiting from money coming in. But again, it's not just the money, it's like the perception of the wildlife and taking care of the ocean, that you're bringing that in, bringing the people in to see it, and then they're going away with a whole life-changing experience.
Yeah, like knowing how you can like change your day to day, you know, when you're not on holiday, when you're home and in the middle of nowhere, like little things you can do. You're like, oh man, okay, if I don't ask for the straw at the restaurant, you know, it maybe won't end up underwater where I saw it, you know, in Costa Rica.
You still have like plastic straws and that out there?
Not in Costa Rica.
Not in Costa Rica,
in
yeah.
They got rid of them.
Yes. So
Oh,
I
nice.
had a bit of a culture shock when I moved from Costa Rica to Mexico, because here in Costa Rica, it's like environment is number one. They try really, really hard here.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they still have a really long way to go. So there's still like styrofoam, and they have plastic bags at the grocery stores, which is really sad. But it is nice to be able to talk to people and tell them like, bring your own reusable bag. Bring a water bottle.
Sounds like you're more ahead than us, because we've still got plastic bags.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you guys where that part of the world
got rid of straws, and
we've just got rid of plastic cutlery, haven't we?
Yeah.
And like takeaway shops, that sort of thing. So that's gone, no plastic. So but it's you can
definitely on the forefront of sustainability and things like that, especially like the hotels. They do a lot around here. So it's been really nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. So the listeners out there, Costa Rica's the place to go if you want. Right, it's a way to keep the environment pristine, isn't it? And looked after. Yeah. No, really.
Someone's got to do it. It's all of us.
So what's the future hold for Dive the Americas? Have you got plans for the future to expand, or is it just you two?
So we just grew our team by 2 in the last 2 months, which has been really exciting. Somebody to help with sales and somebody to just help with a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Next year we're launching group trips, because we really want to bring we've always done like custom trips really well in most of our tourism careers in Latin America. But we found that we really want I really want to like be on the ground with like a whole group of people. I like love people. Melanie's like, I'll take the operations part of it. And I'm like, I'll be there. But I love the idea of like bringing people together and you know, showing them around like this part of the world that I love. And you know, doing like a group trip of people that want to get dive certified, so like new divers, doing like a group live aboard trip to Galapagos with, you know, experienced divers. We have a lot in store for next year and the future, but we really want to like connection and community is a big pillar, or a couple of our pillars that Dive the Americas. And so we'd always been like, how do we like really incorporate that into travel? And so we found that group trips are really going to be our next big thing.
Well, a lot of people dive in groups, don't they? So it kind of makes sense to build it like that, and good for business too. So do your families dive? Was it just you?
My dad and my sister came and got dive certified last year here in Costa Rica. And so, one of my younger sisters is a freshman in university, and she has like this thing every year. She has to do a special, I don't know exactly what it is. It's some special class. And I convinced her that every year she should go diving. So she got her open water last year. This year in January, they're going to get their advanced. And then the next year I was like, get your rescue and like do things over the 4 years. So that's been really awesome to share that. Because other than that, I've just been like the crazy scuba diving daughter who like started her own business around scuba diving and nobody understood. I was so obsessed with it. And now they get it, which is I don't think anybody in your family dives.
Well, so again, my dad moved here back in like the 70s. And
To Costa
he used
Rica.
to Costa Rica, and he used to dive. He's not certified.
Oh.
So that's like a very rural Central America thing to do. But he did used to dive, yeah.
Wow.
But
I
not
didn't know
anymore.
that.
Yeah, now it's just me, just little old me.
Oh well, that's still good, and
crazy.
it's you're there to inspire lots of other people, which is great.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been diving for?
Sorry,
How long have you guys been diving for?
I qualified during COVID, so 2020. Yeah.
Like us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in the summer, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, because 2019, I said, yes, I'm going to dive. And then obviously we all got locked down and managed to do, and my open water was in July 2020, wasn't it?
For some reason, I thought it was 21, but that's 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've done
Ours was
open water and advanced and rescue. Yeah. So that's it.
Very nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. I've been diving, I think, coming up for that'll be 10 years next year, I think.
Oh, big milestone year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, my daughter, she learned this year, so maybe hopefully we'll be doing a dive together to celebrate.
Oh,
So-
that would be
amazing.
so great.
Yeah. I think about April time, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I
So
love
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased she learned this year, so it's really good.
Yeah, and it's great to see where diving can take you. And we say that with all the people that we've come across and spoken to on the podcast. You know, you can just start diving and you never know where it's going to take you. A career, and like yourselves, it's taken you into tourism and travel and, you know, your own business. It's just
Yeah, I always say that scuba diving changed my life.
Yeah.
Because I was never like Mel grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Yeah.
Me, no. Well, I was like, I could never imagine myself owning a business.
No limits.
And here we are.
Yeah. Have no limits.
No,
When you run
no.
the business.
Yeah.
No limits. Just go with it.
yeah, and love what you do as well. And you can tell that you love what you do. Definitely. It's just
yeah, we're really lucky. I mean, we've worked really hard to get here. And so I'm always like, are we lucky? But like, I think we're pretty lucky.
I think we're lucky to be in the business that we're at. And for me, it's like, I love this part of the world so much that I thrive off of hearing people like, and their experiences here. I love it. You just can't wait. So
And you can create your own luck as well, because you put all that hard work and dedication in, and that's the only way you get a business started. And you know, it is like having a child, isn't it? Because there's all that effort you're putting into it.
Yeah. And it changes. I mean, I'm sure you guys with the podcast, like, I don't know how it started and compared to where it's at now, but for us, like the business started one way and now we have all these things coming up on the horizon, like these group trips and everything that we want to do for 2024. So it's been just really fun to see it evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think, you know, it's the effort you put into it is what you get out of it as well. And, you know, you can see that if you dedicate hard work, you get good things out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
So we've got some questions for you. Okay. We've got some set questions. We always ask all our guests some set questions to put them on the spot. Okay. If you haven't been already. Who's going to go first? Should we, any volunteers?
I'll go first.
Okay.
She's the talker here.
Okay. So we're going to give you, three people three people. Who would you take with you in the water?
3 people. So my first person is a very strategic choice. I would choose Taylor Swift, not because I'm a huge fan. Like, she's great. I mean, she's very successful, but I think that's why I would want to bring her underwater, because her following is so loyal and like, they will do whatever she does. They listen to whatever she says. And so I think if I could get Taylor Swift underwater with me for her to see what's there and then go back and tell everybody go and tell everybody what's there. That would be ideal. 4 people underwater. Yeah. The second person, I only prepared 2 of these. The second person would be Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I think I was kind of researching this to see if you guys would know who Bill Nye the Science Guy is.
Bill,
No,
who? Sorry?
not heard of him.
American thing. He used to have this TV show growing up when we were young, would do like interviews, and he would do all these experiments on TV. I'm a biologist and I loved science growing up, and so I always idolized him. Really cool, fun guy. Would love to bring him underwater.
That's not him who's been on the Big Bang Theory, is it?
Oh,
Might have been.
I don't know.
He's quite an old
like
guy.
Childhood science icon.
I'm so bad at TV. Yeah.
Let's look him up.
We'll look him up.
Yeah. I think so. I was talking to Mel, and Mel was like, I think they have a different Bill Nye in the UK.
Mhm. I was like, I don't think they're gonna know who that is.
He's an actor.
Bill Nye, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, an English actor.
Yeah. DM us if you know who Bill Nye is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, they were some really good answers. We've not had Taylor Swift before, so that's
No.
like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very like strategic
Business move.
Yeah, that's a business move.
Yeah, good one.
It was great for the whole scuba community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she might
Pretty
write a
good.
song. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Like,
go.
oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about that.
Well, she could do a cover of Ringo Starr's song about the octopus cave,
Oh my
Oh,
God.
yes. Oh my gosh.
octopus garden.
If you're out there listening to this podcast.
we'll tag her in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how about you, Mel? Have you got 2 or 3
I
people you'd
I
like?
have 2.
So we both did 2 because we were like,
Yeah.
we don't want to overwhelm them with 6 old people.
Of course.
So yeah. Well, my first thought, as soon as I saw the question, I was like, Steve Irwin. He was my childhood hero growing up.
Yeah.
So I feel like going diving with him would just be so fun. And he's so animated. Like, what a character. He's a conservation icon. So that was the first person that came to mind.
Nice
And
one.
then second was Dr. Sylvia Earle. I mean, again, icon, a women scuba diver.
Yeah.
That this really embodies everything that we want to embody in the scuba community. So
Yeah.
those were my 2.
I
That would
think
be badass.
I don't think we've had Steve Irwin before. either.
No. So really unique answers. That's
Yeah.
really...
Oh,
Yeah. And
awesome.
you also touched on an interesting subject, obviously girls diving, women diving. What's the kind of split in Latin America? Do you get many women diving or want to dive, like local people?
A lot more than before. Yeah, I think we've noticed in the last couple of years, because statistically speaking, it's been a man's sport, and so it's kind of new, like for women to feel comfortable in the diving community. And so we really try to cater to make women feel comfortable reaching out to us, celebrating Women Dive Day. And I would say I've seen a lot more women, even in the past year, than I had seen previously, which is really cool to see.
It is.
And just, everybody together, like not just women, men, and,
families. Yeah, it's
families,
good to be all in the water, sharing the whole experience. That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
One of our group trips for next year is a women only trip.
Yeah.
So we're super excited to launch that one and just have that one's a little bit more like women and wellness focused.
Yeah.
But it's going to be just a really interesting experience to be like around women scuba divers for a week.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Really excited.
Yeah. Oh, we'll look forward to seeing how that goes. That's a really
Oh, we're so excited.
So another question we ask our guests, if they had a billboard, so if you've got a billboard and you're going to have it and it's going to be out there for the whole world to see, what would you put on your billboard? So it could be a message, it could be an image, it could be a video, it could be a song. But what sort of message would you put out there for the world to see?
I've thought about this one a lot. So
we talked about this a lot.
Yeah, we went back and forth on this one a lot. But I think having a message, a video out there that really embodies how easy it is to get scuba certified, and then what that feeling is when you first get underwater. Like if we could have something that would embody that and encourage more people to get scuba certified, that's what I would do. 100%.
Yeah. Don't know what that would entail.
Yeah. We need a creative director.
But we're dreaming here.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
I think it might be a little distracting on the road, but
yeah,
that's okay. Nothing on the side of the road. I just always think of that when I see the huge billboards with like videos and things when I'm driving down the road.
So in your mind, right, what would be the scene that you would picture?
I think I picture somebody like going through like a quick, a couple of seconds of like going through the certification process, like in the pool and then getting in the water. And then that first immersion when you go down and you just open your eyes. And again, I think of my first experience where it was just so magical. So going down and seeing like everything kind of in slow motion and the amount of life around you that you didn't even know existed. So that's what I picture, is just like that moment of the camera going down and seeing that whole another world underneath the water.
When I told you about, dive and off Cancun, it's more near Cozumel, I think they took us to, and I remember seeing underneath for that first time, and it's where they've got like statues and things.
Okay, yeah.
Sort of like I think it's all sort of they're not very old. I think that's all quite recent stuff that's put down.
It's like an underwater museum.
Kind of, yeah. And but I remember seeing all these colors, because all I'd known previous to that was our inland lake in the UK.
Gosh.
And seeing that for the first time in such all these vivid colors, and it was like, wow, it's absolutely amazing, and seeing all the seaweed and all that move with the current, and it wasn't all that deep, but I think probably no more than about 6 or 8 meters total. And it was just absolutely amazing. And that is what I was thinking about when you were saying that, so
like how do you bottle up that experience and put it on a billboard?
Yeah,
that's what colors? I want.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, if a creative director's out there,
sunlight and bright colors,
background,
no, they're really good answers. Yeah. So if people want to find out more about Dive the Americas, where are they best to go?
Yeah, well, you can check us out on our website, divetheamericas.com. We have Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on all the socials.
Yeah.
But we did want to offer a super special deal for all of your listeners out there. So with the referral code Big Scuba, we want to offer 10% off for all of our Big Scuba travelers for the 2024. So yeah, anybody that's interested, now's a great time, and we got a great deal for you.
That's excellent. Well, we'll put the link in the show notes and the code as well.
On Instagram, all over the place. It's just Dive the Americas.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's fab.
Yeah, well, hopefully people will visit the website and get some emails over to you as well if they've got any questions, and start picking some trips together, because there's got to start somewhere, hasn't it? And just
come down. We'll have beers with you all.
Know the best of ours too.
Sign us up. Well, it just looks like an amazing part of the world to visit, and and it's accessible, isn't it?
It's really special over here.
There's direct flights from the UK, there's direct flights from all over Europe, so let us get in touch. We'll send you all the info. We'll make it easy.
Nice one.
Brilliant. Right. Brilliant. Well, we'll put all those links in, and so listeners out there, get looking.
Come to Latin America.
So welcome back, and we want to say thank you very much to Melanie and Kathleen for coming on and chatting to us all about the traveling for next year and that big scuba code.
Yeah, dive the Americas. So yeah, great to have really enthusiastic couple of girls.
Yeah, it sounds awesome actually, and I think the place for me would be Galapagos. I think because that's always been on my place to go to one day. What about you?
Costa Rica, yeah, because it sounds obviously like sustainability and conservation is key there, and yeah, it's obviously a good place to go, and all the wildlife as well.
I think it's good that they certainly got the handle on the security and safety and making sure people are going to have a good experience. Because if you're going to pay good money, you want to know you are looked after, don't you? And two, it certainly sound like they are certainly interested in making sure everyone is well catered for, and it is going to be a top end holiday, and rightly so. Sounds like fantastic trip, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to be pigeon-toed thinking, oh, I don't want to go to Latin America, because you think all sorts of things that you see on the news, but behind all of that, and that is just it is just news, and it's not common, a common occurrence, is it?
Yeah I think it's brilliant. So all sounds very good answers as well for their questions. So Taylor Swift, come on.
Yeah, write a song.
That'd be pretty cool. So thanks for them coming on. It's been really good, and hopefully new friends of the podcast, and we let us know if you're thinking about getting booked up. Where are you going to go?
Yes,
lots of choices. Costa Rica, Cocos Islands, Panama, Belize, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Galapagos. So where would you go? Let us know.
Yeah, definitely trip of a lifetime, or start of a new adventure of traveling.
Yeah, so that's brilliant. We want to say thank you very much to Narked at 90. This episode comes to you powered and supported by narkedat90.com for your everything to do with diving and tech diving and rebreathers, you name it. If you've got anything, or if you're looking to buy shear water, by the time you hear this, we've had Christmas, but the new dive computer from Shearwater should be out.
Yes, the Turn. So yeah, definitely check out narkedat90.com, their website, and look at all the dive computers that they have to cater for all levels of diver, whether you're a tech diver or a recreational diver just starting out. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of it, I think, don't you? I think we kind of covered everything.
Yes, welcome to 2024 to everyone, if this is your first listen in. And there's a lot more to come in the coming year.
It is. So from you and I, that was
me and you.
That was the Big Scuba Podcast.
This was the Big Scuba Podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for downloading.
And good night. Now that does wrap up today's episode of the Big Scuba Podcast. But if you want to hear more from the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button depending on what platform you are listening on. That way you will never miss an episode from us. But if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and did enjoy what you heard today, we would really appreciate it if you head to the show page to leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does help us. If you do, please take a screenshot of that review and send it to us on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out to say a big thank you. If you have any questions for us or anything that has been mentioned in today's episode, be sure to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or send us an email. The links are in the show notes. We will get back to you no matter what. If you have made it to this point in the episode, we both want to say a big thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.